So I'm sure you guys have heard of the saying, you are what you eat. Today, we're gonna be learning about an SCP that takes that a little bit too literally. Let's find out why.
The boy screams as his body transforms.
What?
His bones warp and twist as feathers emerge from his pores.
I don't like where this is
Skull
going.
sharpens into a long, hard beak.
Okay.
He's in a living nightmare. And who could have guessed?
My boy turned
it
into
all
a
started
chicken.
With an innocent attempt to play hooky. It's an ordinary Monday morning, and all over town, children are waking up and reluctantly dragging themselves out of bed. Some are oversleeping, hitting the snooze on their alarms, and getting a bit of extra shut-eye before their exhausted parents notice, wake them up, and rush to get them to school before the first morning bell. In one particular bedroom, a young boy is awake but still in bed, brainstorming as fast as he can. He is determined to skip school today however he can. He usually doesn't mind school very much, but today, all he can think about is the math test he didn't study for.
I mean, yeah,
and
we've
the
all
mean
been there.
Classmate who likes to knock his books out of his hands.
Sometimes you just
But he
want to
can't
skip
just
school.
ask to skip school for no reason. He has to come up with a plan. He runs to the bathroom, splashing hot water in his face to give him a flushed appearance and a warm forehead.
Oh yeah.
Then he hops back into bed and begins to loudly cough and sniffle
Genius.
until his mother comes to check on him. He complains that he doesn't feel well enough to go to school, and, sure enough, when his mother feels his forehead, it is hot to the touch. She agrees to let him stay home from school for the day, provided he stays in bed and gets plenty of rest. He promises that he will, and she leaves to go to work. On her way to work, the boy's mother remembers that there isn't much for him to eat while he's home alone all day.
There's half an eaten apple. Somebody took a bite out of an apple and put it back in the refrigerator.
At least, there isn't much that he would want to eat while he's sick. She decides that she can be a little bit late to work for the sake of her son's health, and pulls into a nearby grocery store. She
Okay,
rushes
so
out of her
she's a
car
good
into
mom.
the store, making a beeline for the soup aisle. She reaches for her usual go-to brand of chicken noodle soup, but finds the shelf completely bare. That's
Oh,
right,
I see
it's
where this
flu
is
season.
going.
Of course, the soup is sold out. Oh, great. This is exactly what she needs. A sick kid at home, one can of chicken noodle soup left at the store, and the machine won't even scan it.
Oh.
She smacks the side of the machine in frustration, and the screen reads invalid code, transaction canceled. With a heavy sigh, she glances over her shoulder. No one is watching. She tried to pay for the can to do the right thing.
Oh, she's
but
gonna
the
steal
machine
it.
wouldn't let her. So she grabs the can and runs out of the
That's a
store
W
before
mom
anyone
right there.
can spot her.
She's willing to steal for
While
her
his
children.
mother is out, the boy is at home raiding the pantry for snacks to sate
It
his
looks
not
like
at
they
all
have
sick
so many
appetite.
snacks.
He fills up
Look at
on
that.
Oreos and toaster pastries, cheesy crackers, and chips. When he hears his mother's car pulling into the driveway, he quickly wipes the crumbs from his face and jumps back into bed, just in time for his mother to find him there, resting like he promised he would. She gives him a kiss on the forehead and tells him that she'll heat up some chicken noodle soup for him to eat. She's in a hurry to make it to work, though, so she'll need to leave it in the microwave for him. She pours the contents of the soup into a bowl, adds a bit of water, and pops the bowl into the microwave for a few minutes. She calls up to her son, letting him know that the soup will be ready when the microwave dings.
Oh, that stinks, dude.
Then she rushes out the door and heads to work for the day, confident that her son will be fine through her shift.
The mom is
If he
literally the
happens
one
to
going
need
to give
anything,
him the
he can call her and let her
SCP.
know. The boy hears the microwave ding, but his stomach is too full from his rummage through the pantry for him to want any of the soup, in spite of its heavenly aroma. Instead, he creeps into the living room and sits down to play video games until his eyes start to hurt. As he boots up his gaming system, he thinks for a moment that he can hear a strange noise coming from the kitchen. A soft,
Hold up.
clucking sound.
Is that a chicken?
Like the chickens he saw on his grandparents' farm.
What?
But he quickly forgets about the sound as the screen lights up, and he disappears into the world of his favorite game. He plays for hours, until the grumbling of his stomach interrupts his concentration.
Oh, this is where it's
He's
gonna get
suddenly
bad,
very
boys.
hungry, and remembers the soup his mother left in the microwave. It is certainly cold and unappealing by now, but he can just reheat it first. He punches the buttons on the microwave and waits for the soup to be ready. Again, he can hear strange noises coming from the microwave, but he doesn't think anything of it. The microwave dings, and he pulls out the bowl of soup, grabs a spoon, and digs in.
Oh,
A
God.
little while later, the boy's mother pulls into the driveway in a panic. She left work early when her phone rang with a call from her son. She answered, asking what was wrong, but he wouldn't answer her. All she could hear on the other end was rustling, heavy breathing, and some pained grunting.
Oh,
Fearing the
gosh.
worst, she drove back as fast as she could, running several red lights along the way. Now she fumbles with her keys as she unlocks the door,
I feel
terrified
so
of what
bad
she
for
will
this
find.
mom.
She grips her phone in her other hand, thumb hovering over the buttons, ready to dial
You
911
should
if the
probably
situation
call it.
calls for it. She pushes the front door open,
There's gonna
calling
be
her
a
son's
chicken.
name. He doesn't answer. and her stomach drops. Suddenly, she hears the loud thud of something heavy being knocked to the ground.
What?
Something is terribly wrong here, and even though she might find her worst nightmare, she has to face whatever is waiting for her inside. She runs into the kitchen and finds it a mess. The bowl of soup is shattered on the floor, congealed, cold soup pooling on the tile. The kitchen table is turned over on its side.
Chicken feathers everywhere.
The kitchen chairs are in disarray. But the strangest sight is the dozens of tiny, white, fluffy things on the floor, counters, and furniture. She picks one up for a closer look and finds herself even more confused than before.
Oh no.
It's a feather. They're all feathers. She calls her son's name again, praying for a response. This time, she receives one, though not the one she hopes for. She hears the sound of shuffling footsteps up above, followed by a strangled sound like a scream caught in someone's throat. She sprints up the stairs as fast as her legs can carry her, throwing open the door to her son's bedroom. There, she finds him. But this is not
I just
the
got
bright-eyed boy
goosebumps
that she
up
left
and down
behind
my
when she
entire
left for
body.
work. His arms are covered with a thick layer of white
What?
feathers, the same feathers that are beginning to poke through the skin of his face.
That is
The top of his head
so
has elongated into a fluffy comb
terrifying.
of excess skin, the same sort of excess skin that is wobbling below his chin. And his mouth.
What?
It doesn't look like a mouth anymore. It's pointed and hard, and his lips click together
That had
when
to
he
be so
speaks,
painful.
or rather, clucks. His bare feet are
Oh.
scaly and red, with
Ew.
claws protruding from his toes. He flaps his wings
Oh
frantically,
my
eyes
God.
wide and wild, clucking and running back
Wow.
and forth across the room.
Bro, that
When
had
he
to be
looks at
painful.
her, she does not see recognition in his gaze. Her son, her beloved boy, has turned into a chicken. Unable to do anything else, the mother calls an ambulance. At first, the paramedics that arrive on the scene think the call was some sort of elaborate prank. But when they set eyes on the boy, they agree
Imagine-
that something truly bizarre is
Imagine
going
seeing
on.
that.
They
That's
speed to the
just
hospital
crazy.
with the chicken boy in tow.
Chicken
but
boy.
sadly, are unable to save his life.
Sounds like a bad
The
X-Men
mother turns
superhero.
over the can of the mysterious soup to the authorities, who launch a formal investigation. Unfortunately, they are unable to trace the can to any store, nor are they able to verify the existence of the company name on its label. Employees of the grocery store where she found the can insist that they have never seen it in their lives. Several weeks after this incident occurred, the SCP Foundation conducted a raid on a New York office of Marshall, Carter, and Dark. For those of you unfamiliar with the organization, and that is most of the general population by design, Marshall, Carter, and Dark Ltd. is an extremely powerful multinational corporation founded by 3 individuals with those surnames, specializing in the acquisition and sale of anomalous items, entities, and experiences.
Okay, so they
To put
buy
it simply,
SCPs.
They run the largest anomalous black market in the world and are the crime bosses of the paranormal world. To put it simply, they run the largest anomalous black market in
it
the
looks-
world
I don't know,
and are the
something's
crime
definitely
bosses
up
of
with
the
these guys.
paranormal world. During this particular raid, SCP Foundation operatives recovered 17 different unusual items. Among the items discovered was a shipping crate, recently delivered by the Federal Postal Service from an invalid return address. This crate contained
What?
103 cans of SCP-2057, as well as a copy of a letter written to one of the company's associates. So far, the letter has not been traced to an address. It reads, "Dear Cyrus, Maria has told me of the unfortunate circumstances that have befallen your children. I'd hoped to hear about the improvement of their condition soon. As their godfather, I am extremely distressed to hear this. Having experienced a child suffering from the measles myself, I know how terrifying it can be when it seems as if they are getting worse. Recently, we received a shipment of something that I hope can help your family. There is a crate in the storage area marked with Wondertainment,
That's what it
discontinued
is,
item.
Dr.
It will not be
Wondertainment.
there long, as it goes to auction next week. I will leave a key under the photo of your family on your desk. Follow the instructions exactly. Do not, under any circumstances, do anything different than what is directed on the can. Destroy this message as soon as possible. I do not want any of this to come back on us. Be careful, my friend. Williams." SCP-2057 consists of 92 318 milliliter cans of condensed chicken noodle soup. Each can is covered with a brightly colored label depicting images of noodles, a cartoon chicken, and dancing vegetables. In addition to this inviting imagery, each label is emblazoned with the text, "Dr. Wondertainment's Ultralicious Chicken Noodle Soup for Kids."
Oh my gosh. I mean, if I saw that in the grocery store, I'm definitely getting it. Like, there is a 1000% chance that I am buying that.
Each can has a pull-top lid for easy opening, It is printed with a set of nutrition facts, ingredients, and instructions
It
for
sounds
heating.
delicious.
The nutrition facts are as follows. Calories, 95. Fat, 3.17 grams. Carbohydrates, 2.2 grams.
Gotta get your
Protein,
carbs in.
13.48 grams.
That's pretty specific.
Vitamin W, 2 grams. And Mother's
Wait,
Love,
Mother's Love.
10 grams.
Wait, what?
The SCP Foundation attempted
That's a
to
W.
analyze the contents of the soup in order to compare it to the posted nutrition facts. The calories, fat, carbohydrates, and protein were found to be accurately reported. Vitamin W was present in the reported amount as well,
Yeah, what is
though
that?
it was not a compound that the Foundation scientists had ever encountered before. Mother's Love, as it is an intangible concept, was not able to be identified or measured in the analyzed soup samples. The ingredients are listed as ultralicious chicken stock, enriched Chinese egg noodles,
Okay.
finest cooked chicken breast, farm fresh carrots, crispy crunchy celery, sweet Vidalia onions, no paint thinner, fresh mountain spring water, vitamin W. Contains less than 2% of the following ingredients: a pinch of salt, a
Okay.
smidgen of chicken fat,
Okay.
sprinkle of spice extracted from rare plants,
Sounds
a
great.
dash of high-quality unicorn tears. Instructions for heating read, "Hey kids, feeling sick, icky, or downright yucky? Just pop open a can of Dr. Wondertainment's Ultralicious Chicken Noodle Soup for Kids. Place contents of the can in a medium-sized soup pot. Add a can of water, stir, and heat. Watch
the
as
mom
the fun
did not
begins.
do that.
Eat hearty, and you'll feel better and ready to play with Dr. Wondertainment toys in no time." All of this is relatively straightforward, give or take a few unusual ingredients. Someone taking only a quick look might mistake a can of this soup for any other chicken noodle soup. However, it does have something that most ordinary canned soup does not.
Unicorn
a warning
tears?
label.
the
Dr.
warning
Wondertainment's
label.
Ultralicious Chicken Noodle Soup.
Wait, so is Dr. Bob saying that all other chicken noodle soups have unicorn tears? Is that what I just heard?
For kids is intended to be eaten while it is hot to make you feel better in no time at all. Do not consume after it has become cold. Do not reheat. By purchasing from
that's
Dr.
it.
Wondertainment,
Do
you agree
not
to not hold
reheat.
Dr. Wondertainment or any of Dr. Wondertainment's affiliates accountable for injuries or damages incurred by your product. Thank you for purchasing from Dr. Wondertainment.
You see, if somebody wrote that on a can, you would think that, oh, like, what could possibly be the injuries? Maybe, I don't know, I'll like cut myself on the can, or maybe, I don't know, I'll get like a stomach ache from some bad chicken. Most people are probably not expecting that there is a small chance if they cook it wrong and eat the soup cold, that they will turn into, and I want to put some emphasis on this, a full-sized chicken. I don't think anybody's expecting that.
So what exactly is in a can of Dr. Wondertainment's Ultralicious Chicken Noodle Soup for Kids?
Chicken and
Well,
soup.
when the SCP Foundation first opened a can to take a look, they found that it was filled with condensed chicken broth and a mass of egg noodles shaped like an egg. When water was added and the contents of the can were heated to a temperature of 70 degrees Celsius, the noodle-based egg hatched.
But there's a
Inside
chicken
was a small
inside?
domesticated chicken made up of egg noodles, carrot, celery, onion, and cooked chicken breast. For simplicity's sake, this chicken noodle soup chicken is referred to as SCP-2057-1. As the Foundation researchers continued to heat the broth to a higher temperature, SCP-2057-1 began to move around, make audible chirping sounds, and eat the broth.
Okay, so
As
that's
it ate, it grew larger
sound
and
that
larger
we heard
until
earlier.
it reached a mass of 85 grams and resembled a miniature adult chicken. At a temperature between 35 and 70 degrees Celsius, SCP-2057-1 behaved much like an ordinary chicken. It continued to behave normally even as it was consumed or cut apart, apparently feeling no pain or awareness of its situation.
okay. That's insane.
Dissection of SCP-2057-1 revealed that its insides were made up of soup ingredients, including celery and onion bones,
What?
cooked chicken breast muscles, carrot beak and legs, and chicken broth blood. When SCP-2057-1's temperature dropped below 35 degrees Celsius, it stopped moving and collapsed into the soup. At a temperature below 20 degrees Celsius, it became congealed and unappetizing. With these observations completed, the Foundation then attempted to measure the effects of this unusual chicken soup on a person that ingested it. When test subjects were fed samples of the soup at a temperature between 35 and 70 degrees Celsius, they had a very positive experience.
Okay, so that's the
soup's
temperature you're
taste was
supposed to eat
described
it
as
at.
excellent, delicious, and homey, though the meal caused a bit of psychological distress due to the soup chicken's realistic appearance and behavior.
That is
It
kind of
improved every
strange.
test subject's physical well-being. This eventually applied to test subjects with a case of influenza, measles, or the common cold.
So it can heal
Following
them.
consumption of SCP-2057, each subject with a diagnosed illness of this kind reported immediate relief from their symptoms, including fever, aches and pains, cough, and congestion.
So it's actually like a good SCP.
With this positive, if a bit disturbing, effect documented, the Foundation next set out to determine what would happen if they let the soup get cold before it was eaten. Test subjects served this version of the soup had a far worse experience, describing the taste of their meal as bland, disgusting, and repulsive.
So it actually changes
67%
flavors.
of the test subjects experienced cramps, chills, and diarrhea
And they get
following their
even more
consumption of the
sick
soup.
if it's
and
cold.
62% found themselves making involuntary clucking noises, as well as experiencing a strong aversion to poultry products.
Oh, okay.
Again, several test subjects were deliberately selected based on their cases of influenza, measles, and the common cold. These test subjects immediately began to develop troubling symptoms, including the growth of pin feathers on their
my
forearms,
gosh, it's happening
loosened
again.
excess skin on their heads and under their chins, a change in their ability to walk normally, and distressing hallucinations of being hung upside down by the ankles. Following these 2 rounds of testing, the research team decided to see why exactly the warning label advised against reheating the soup. D-Class 45782 was selected as the test subject for this particular experiment, and was instructed to reheat a bowl of cooled SCP-2057-1 in a microwave on high for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Then, he was to consume the reheated soup and report his experience to a camera placed in the room with him.
So I guess
As
this is the
instructed,
worst thing that you can do.
D45782 microwaved the bowl of soup. As it heated in the microwave, it emitted unintelligible vocalizations in a deep voice. After removing the bowl from the microwave, D45782 noted that it was gelatinous looking, with blackened burnt bits around the edges. He took 3 bites of the disgusting, hot and cold at the same time mixture before spitting it out onto the floor and refusing to eat another bite. 15 minutes after tasting the reheated soup, D45872 began to exhibit significant distress, clucking angrily into the camera.
So this is what happened to the young kid at the start of today's
became
video.
more difficult to understand, clucks and other chicken-like vocalizations making up most of his attempted speech.
Oh, no.
He began scratching vigorously at his arms to the point of drawing blood.
No.
Loose skin could be seen gathering on the top of his head and under his neck.
Oh, I don't like this
6 minutes
part.
later, D45872 had lost the ability to speak. Large white pin feathers had sprouted from his arms, covering the skin, and smaller white feathers were beginning to sprout from his face. After 16
I don't
more
like
minutes
that.
passed,
Oh,
D45872 began attacking other objects in the room, attempting to destroy the microwave,
It's an
knocking the bowl
angry
of soup to
chicken.
the floor, and flipping over a table and chair. He had grown feathers over 67% of his skin, and his face had begun to change drastically. His nasal area was elongated and hardened, joining with his lower jaw in an appendage resembling a bird's beak.
He looks like an
His upper
animatronic
lip
from
had
Five Nights at
disappeared into
Freddy's.
his nasal cavity. Only 5 minutes later, D45872 suddenly stopped moving and collapsed to the floor, dead.
Dead?
Following D45872's death, an autopsy was performed. These were the findings. Autopsy revealed D45782's cause of death was due to extreme and sudden physical change of internal organs, resulting in
makes
shock
sense.
and cardiac arrest. 93% of the subject's skin was covered in feathers. Physical changes in the face resulted in a beak-like alteration of the nose and mouth. Loose skin under the neck and on the top of the head resemble a wattle and comb. Subject's lower legs were found to be covered in thick, scaly skin, with the toes of the subject's feet
Somebody's got to
ending in
cut
small,
them
rounded
toenails.
claws. The subject and instance of SCP-2057-1 were incinerated after testing and autopsy. Whenever
made
not
fried
being
chicken.
used for approved experimentation, all cans of SCP-2057 must be stored in a standard, large-volume storage locker in Containment Area 27 and kept at a temperature of 25 degrees Celsius. Because SCP-2057 is in limited supply, all experiments must first be approved by at least 2 personnel with 2-1103 clearance, as well as receiving the go-ahead from Dr. Applegate. There are still 41 cans of Dr. Wondertainment's chicken soup unaccounted
so
for.
they've done, like,
and the Foundation
50
has been unable to
experiments.
track them down so far. Who knows where they ended up? Maybe at another office of Marshall Carter and Dark. Or maybe, just maybe, one made its way onto the shelves at your local grocery store. Best to be careful out there.